War machine gamers of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Watch this video and you will see an odd scenario for Halloween. This is Halloween, this is Halloween. Thoughts are spawning to the left and right. This is Halloween, everybody on the scene. Roll the dice till the foe's gonna die of fright. It's a game, everybody scream! In this game for Halloween. Welcome to M&tM Machines, the War Machine Horde show where we strangle the deadline to death with a tape measure. Tonight, in episode 76, we're having a very special Halloween report featuring a self-made scenario. I designed this scenario along the lines of the Longest Night scenario put out by Vladimir Xp, and I call it the Nightmare Tower. Point size is 35, and the casters involved are Vladimir Tzepesci, the Dark Champion, and Gorten Grundback. Enjoy! Okay, for starters, I'll explain the scenario. Deploy a 3" by 3" tower smack in the middle of the board. The GW guard tower will suffice. Mark the control zone 7 inches out from the walls of the tower. Place 4 1 by 3" stone pillars according to the diagram. The Nightmare Tower is considered an enemy model for all players. Its armor 1845 hitboxes. At the end of every player's turn, while the tower is still standing, place one Longest Night thrower completely within 2 inches of each side of the tower, facing the middle of his respective board edge. For details on the Longest Night thralls, look those up on the Vladimir Xp page. During each maintenance phase, those thralls frenzy according to the frenzy rules. The stone pillars are the corner of an area within which models don't heal. The pillars are armed 18-20 hitboxes, and if they go down, the respective area shrinks. The first player to score 2 control points wins. Destroying the tower nets you 1 control point. Controlling the zone, which doesn't work until the tower is down for being an enemy, earns 1-2. Scoring starts on the second player's second turn. Deployment, as indicated, is flanking deployment, but no reinforcements. And with that out of the way, let's go forward to the lists. Kushinada brought Gorten and her regular 35-point entourage. Double Gunner, Blaster, Driller, Maximum Horgenhole Forge Guard, Ernie and John, Thor, marshalling a Basher, Gudrun the Wanderer and his Boker. I brought Vladimir Tzepesci experienced, a Marauder, a Kodiak, full Iron Fang Pikeman with unit detachment, the Great Bears of Gallowswood, a Codon Lord, the Manhuntress, and Harlan Versh. And I also hired the support of a minimum group of Cossacks. I can hear them partying in the woods, but I don't know what side they'll show up on. Round 1. I got first turn and Vladimir allocates no focus. He walks up, casts Sand of Fate on the Pikeman, Assail on the Marauder, and Transference on himself. The Pikeman advances in shield wall, the rest runs up. During the Nightmare phase, 4 thralls spawn. 1 charges the Manhuntress, falling short. 1 charges the Driller and bites off a whole column. 1 charges the Boker, failing on the damage, and the last one charges and takes down a Pikeman. Gorten allocates 1 focus to each to the Blaster and both Gunners. The first Gunner walks to an angle and, ignoring the Forge Guard due to ranked attack, powerfully shoots the thrall off the Driller. The Blaster runs, the Driller walks, and the other Gunner walks too. The Forge Guard runs up, sending 1 guy far ahead to check for thralls. Gorten moves and creates a rock wall in front of the Driller and Forge Guard. The Boker moves and slays the thrall. Gudrun moves into the forest. Thor drives the Basher up, then moves, and the Basher runs up. During the Nightmare phase, 4 more thralls spawn. With how things are angled, 3 of them charge the Forge Guard, but except for 1, who slays the unfortunate Forge Guard scout, they get stuck in the wall. The one that fell short on the Manhuntress charges her again and misses. Another one charges into the Marauder, and the one from the last round kills another Pikeman. Round 2. Vladimir keeps all focus and Nub keeps all spells. The Codon Lord moves to power booster the Marauder. The Marauder activates and combo smites the pillar, but the damage roll comes up too short to crush it. Vladimir moves ahead and cuts down the thrall, and at least That is, Vladimir, will make for suitable bait. The manhuntress moves and axes the thrall, engaging her. The great bears run ahead through the forest. The Kodiak runs up as well. The pikemen get the shield wall order and defensive line mini-feat. They take down the thrall and continue to move on. Harlenberg pulls over. In the nightmare phase, another 4 thralls spawn. One charges the forge guard and gets stuck in the wall. 2 more are on that side, move across the wall, but can't kill the forge guard in defensive line. Another takes a little bit more off of the driller. One charges the Kodiak for some damage, another charges the basher for a little damage, and the last one charges the pikeman, killing another one. Gorten gives 1 focus each to the driller and both gunners, then drops the rock wall. First off, the driller tramples across several thralls, rollful stomping them into the ground, and then stops at the tower. With his base in the 2-inch area in front of this wall, no thralls can be placed there. The forge guard moves and hammers the remaining thrall, engaging it. The blaster moves back towards Gorten's control area. The first gunner moves and powerfully shoots the thrall off the basher. The other gunner shoots the pillar for some damage. Then the boker moves and attacks it, but it keeps standing. Thor drives the basher up. Ernie and John shoot in the general direction of the bears, but they achieve nothing. Gorten moves up and slaps strength of grenade onto the driller. The basher slams into a pikeman, kills him and the one behind him, and after that flak fields, which takes out the third one. In the nightmare phase, 3 more thralls are spawned. One of those charged into the Kodiak too, clawing at it together with the other one. One charged into the basher's back, leaving a noticeable dent. Another one charged into the pikeman, killing one, and the one from last turn kills himself, another pikeman. Round 3. Sweet Christ on a conquest, I'm running out of pikemen! Vlad keeps all focus, upkeeps all spells. The Cossacks pop in on Gudrun's and Thor's back. The Kodolord moves up and power boosts the Kodiak. The Kodiak then tramples up to the tower, flattening the thralls in front of him. The manhunters and great bears run out of the forest straight in at Gorten's board edge. Vlad moves up. Harneberg aims, multi-fires the thrall in front of the pikeman, hits, kills, shoots at the other one, hits and kills him too. Thusly unengaged, the pikemen get another shield wall order and poke more damage into the basher, and 2 of them walk up to block the tower wall facing me. The Cossacks shoot down Thor, but only deal about half damage to Gudrun, and then reform so they can't get berserked off the board all at once. In the nightmare phase, another 2 thralls spawn for a total of 3. One attacks the Kodiak, no damage. The other 2 gnaw at the basher slowly. Gorten loads the driller with 3 focus and upkeep strength of grenade and puts the last focus onto the blaster. The boker smashes the pillar. Gudrun charges the woodsman and takes out 3 of them, and the rest panics. The driller goes in and just smashes the tower to pieces. You'd think armor 18 45 boxes would last longer than that. Yet again, a driller with strength of granite might be the one single model that'd be able to one-round the colossal or gargantuan with just a little approval of the dice. Anyway, that scores Gorten his first control point. The forge guard runs up, Ernie and John walk and scattershot at the bears, yet miss again, and the blaster powerfully shoots the middle bear down. The 2 gunners shoot at the pikeman and kill one at the tower. The basher flak fields the thralls off of him and moves to attack the pikeman, yet misses. Gorten moves up. In the nightmare phase, the last thralls desperately scratches paint of the Kodiak. Round 4. Vladimir upkeeps Hand of Fate, Transference, and allocates 1 focus to the Marauder and 1 to the Kodiak. The pikemen converge onto the basher, but that thing still stands, so I run the Marauder over there. A single pikeman goes to engage the Forge Guardians coming around to this side. The Cossacks rally. The manhunters charges the blaster, and 1 2-shots it.
In the name of my lord! Finishing strike! Eternal rage!
The bears charge the Forge Guard, as does the Kodiak, and between all the attacks, 3 of them remain and make their check. John is also among the casualties of those charges. My solos shuffle to new positions. Gorten upkeeps Strength of Granite, loads the driller with 2 focus and each gunner with 1. Then the driller goes into the Kodiak, heavily molesting it. The first gunner tries to powerfully shoot the single IFP. He misses, however, and hits a Forge Guardian instead, who is subsequently taken out. The other gunner attempts the same thing, but he accomplishes the feat. Then Gorten charges a Great Bear and takes him out with Forge Father, and then he feeds to shove everything in his control area 8 inches to his right. Gudrun moves and berserks onto another 2 Cossacks, but the remaining ones make their check. The Boko moves and the largely incapacitated Basher ineffectively tries to kill more pikemen. Round 5. Vladimir allocates a single focus to the Marauder and upkeeps all spells. The Manhunters and Last Great Bear run their 6 inches back towards the fray, as does the Kodiak with his 2 inches. The Codon Lord and Harlenberg move up into the zone, Harlenberg multi-firing at the driller, killing the last Forge Guardian with 1 of those shots, and dealing noticeable damage to the driller thanks to Purification. The Marauder boosts his combo smite, slams the Basher back an inch, and destroys it. Finally. The pikemen move up in shield wall. I forget about the Cossacks. Gorten sees an opportunity. He allocates 1 to the driller, and upkeeps Strength of Granite. The driller charges the Kodiak and scraps him. Gorten then moves up and, boosting to hit, shoots down Harlenberg. He buys another boosted shot and brings the Codon Lord down to 1 box. So Ernie Stoneground comes up and demonstrates high-quality handheld firearms to Gorten, resulting in a dead old man. The first gunner stands and aims, shooting down 1 pikeman. Then the Boko slams the Marauder. He makes it just close enough to slam him, and with his bulk rams the Warjack back 2 inches, which is enough to remove him from the zone. The second gunner aims and shoots, but he misses. I already breathe a breath of relief, but then the last Forge Guardian goes and smashes the standard bearer's helmet in. With no grunts, the standard will not be picked up, and the officer blows his command check with a frickin' 11. Since fleeing models can't contest, Gorten scores another control point, securing his victory. Gorten wins! In hindsight, well, that was some real fun. Not that War Machine games were unfun, or that the Steamroller scenarios weren't good, but the routine takes something out of it. This was good-natured, fun Garage Machine, which makes for a very entertaining game. The stars of the show, in my opinion, were the thralls spawning everywhere, and the driller one-rounding the tower. My biggest blunder is leading with the infantry. The Warjacks should have gone in to soak up the thralls' damage. On that note, nicely played with that rock wall miss. Very nice. My VIP is the Manhuntress for her outstanding Axe-Fu, and my VUP are the pikemen who just lost way too many men before the real fight started. As for our follow-up program, here's more tournament coverage from this year. Enjoy! Outstanding Axe-Fu and my VUP are the pikemen who just lost way too many men before the real fight started. As for our follow-up program, here's more tournament coverage from this year. Enjoy! Alright, time for more tourney coverage, or fail coverage if you go by result. I prefer to go by each game, and in that regard this tournament did fare better. But let's get down to the details. So here's a picture of the venue, which was almost semi-public and in front of the game store. I took the trip to Dortmund, my farthest trip so far, since being a student lets me ignore stupidly high train ticket fees while in my state. Out of the players that enlisted for the tournament, there were 3 Cardor players, one of them being myself, but 4 each of Legion and Kriegs. So I expected to dodge the first and expected to encounter more of the latter. But guess what? Oh, I shouldn't go into this here. I brought a Vladimir experienced infantry spam and a Harkovich heavy armor assembly. Round 1. My opponent is Glebe and he plays Cardor. Well, bummer. From his free giveaway information that both his lists are straight from the Heavy Metal Days tournament, and that one of them took out 6 heavies in one round, I deduct A. Butcher involvement, and B. Harkovich with 3 heavies would be a bad choice, therefore. I'm fairly correct and I face a choice of Irusk and Butcher. Weighing the odds, I choose Vladimir. Afterwards, my opponent admitted that that was the better choice. So here's the only picture from this game. I think this is in round 3, Vlad's feed turn. I had some idiotic moments in that game. My flanking Dracoon went right into the reinforcement area where Fenris came on and ate him. The Spriggan would have been more useful to the left. And man, did his feed turn screw me up. I only killed 3 Kayazi and a Nis Hunter then. However, my dice came back on me, and on this turn the Bears and the Manhunters, courtesy of being Mat 8 and Iron Flesh being on his Kayazi, mopped serious stuff up. As you can see, we're playing Envelopment, which I lose in the end due to 4th tiebreaker. It's not that I didn't have my chances. Irusk had a single Kayazi in his face twice, and that almost got him killed. So with all that went not so good, I wasn't helpless. Glebe also went on to win the tournament. Round 2. My opponent is, I think, Cannonball. Well, I have to correct that. He's not. I met him later. And he also plays Cardor. Well, nice to meet you, sir. Your Peace Socialist looks very interesting with all those mortars, and the Irusk list looks tried and true, though bland at times. I chose Harkovich after quickly glancing at the board. As you can see, I chose to abuse Field Marshal and jam my battle group through that substantial forest, a tactic that I tend to employ ever since, because it did work out, in a way. That leaves the pikemen on the right quite unsupported, but they got their own Turnian to back them up with clouds and stuff. This game I do profit from him forgetting about Sniper, which allows those pikemen to get the drop on the Widowmakers. In this picture, that is my feed turn, which predated her feed turn, which was good for me. For one, my Spriggan managed to simply ransack his single destroyer with awesome dice rolls. That was probably the first instance I've seen a single fully loaded focus heavy wreck another fully healthy heavy in one turn. And Ivan also dropped the bomb at him and then put a little damage on Sorsha. I managed to, thanks to escort and the feed bonus, then tank through her feed plus bombard assassination run. And this picture then shows my assassination run. I go ahead to shake Harkovich's stationary and I allocate focus to my jack and upkeep escort. A little to the surprise of my opponent. With my final point of focus, I cast Jumpstart, which then catches my opponent by surprise, and the Spriggan plows into Sorsha. However, I can't roll a 10 on 3 dice with a charge attack, and that leaves her alive enough. Even though my opponent then went on to commit the mistake of risking a freeze strike from the Spriggan to move up and freeze Harkovich again. The freeze strike that I missed. 2. Sad times, good game. Could have been a win though. There are no pictures from the last game, so we'll just skim through the other pictures I took from the event. I got to go up against Epic Haley. I chose Harkovich since I figured that Irusk, with the melee heavy lists, would be even more screwed than Hark. And man, I was so right. Jumpstart is a possible solution to telekinesis, and shooting jacks circumvent the feed to a degree, but all that shizzle doesn't work if Harkovich is caught within her feed area too, and if the opponent knows what he's doing. Which is quite simple when 12 inches go up against 18 inches to get caught up in that area. That game was really demoralizing, and for a moment I even had the idea of just abandoning the game per se. But I didn't do it, even though I forfeited the game out of frustration. All in all, the tournament was good, well organized, and my opponents were good sports. A congratulations to the War Machine player community. I would have returned to the venue later that year, but the scheduling wouldn't work out. As for next issue's content, there'll be a battle report of short people, one with an army, and one with a bunch of assorted criminals, which we played in preparation for Bond's second Cantina games. And therefore, it'll have more tourney coverage added on from Bond's first Cantina games. But until then, farewell.